Chapter 85. Spinning Dreams. They left Jacobus drinking a couple of beers with the other convention-goers, farmers and their sons, foremen, stud managers. It was a necessary part of networking, and if he had a good time doing it, so would they on their mission. Eleanor had found a woman who spinned mohair, and she'd called her and gotten an invitation for them to come see how it was done. "We'll have to start small scale if the two of us can learn at first, and then maybe later. I have this idea of fixing up the little white barn next to the dam and turning it into our little factory. If we could teach and employ some of the women in the area." "Mother, do you think it would be possible?" "I think you can make it happen. You just keep surprising me." She laughed a little. Sadie Verbeeken was a tall Dutch woman with a gentle voice. Her whole house was a blend of soft and warm colors. Tapestries, blankets, and fabrics hung everywhere. It was like walking into a different world. She made them tea and brought out biscuits, and they sat in her sitting room, which was more a creative flow than a sitting room. Designs plotted out on easels, dies, 2 spinning wheels and a loom with a half-finished woven design. She asked some questions about where they were from, fussed over Tamara. Then they got down to business. "So you mainly aim to work with mohair. It's one of the more difficult fibers to work with, and there's a bit of a process when you start spinning it." "I've seen a bit at the seminar we attended on the sorting in length, style, and character. What makes mohair more difficult, but also more rewarding, is all the fine, loose fibers. In essence, it is fluffy, and there will be a lot of loose fluff when you work with it. It will also help the fibers bond more tightly together. It makes for an airy and tight design when you weave. I'm going to show you how to get started. I have some mohair here somewhere. Now, you'll see I have a large design on my big loom, but you don't have to start off using a manufactured loom. You can have your husband build you a wooden frame and just hammer some nails into the sides. I have one here that I made myself, and I'll set up a quick design for you here and show you the basics. It's an old wooden picture frame that I repurposed. You can even use cardboard to build you one. You must give me your address, and I'll send you instructions and drawings." She was setting the warp thread. "Now, you can use ordinary yarn here, or if you choose to use mohair for the warp as well, you'll find that your weft clings to it, and the fibers tend to bind together. It makes for that really light but tight weave. I rather like to use the warp and weft both as mohair, but you'll learn what works best with what as you go along. I'd suggest you play around and experiment with textures and colors." She had Eleanor try her hand. "You see, you have a touch with this. I have some books on starting up, Eleanor, and I'm going to send them with you. You can bring them back to me when you are in the city again, and bring me some of what you have started with so I can help you improve. I know someone who has a spinning wheel that they would be interested in selling. When are you leaving?" Eleanor looked at Martha. "If you want to go look at it, we can leave later. I don't mind staying another day." "Do you recommend it?" "It's a very good one, old, but high quality. Yes, I do." She wrote the name and address down for them. Eleanor was quiet when they drove back to the hotel. It was Martha who broke the silence. "And what do you think?" "Sorry, Mother, my head is running 100 miles an hour. I want to do this so much. Wasn't she just lovely? Oh, and those designs of hers, the softness, the colors, so vivid. I'm infatuated. What did you think?" "It was simply lovely. If you'll show me what you've learned, I'd love to do it with you. I think you can make something big from this." She nodded, smiling into the city lights as she drove. "Yes, I think we can." They bought the spinning wheel the next day. It was expensive, but Marta didn't bat an eye when she wrote out the check. It's for the future, the farm, and it'll be a successful business when Tamra is grown up. It's an investment, Eleanor. In the end, they only left at the end of the week. They went shopping, and Jacobus wanted to see a local farmer's young goats. They went home with clothes for Tamra, slacks for Eleanor that weren't converted boys' pants, and she bought some mohair blankets. If I'm going into the business, I need to look at the standard that is readily available out there, and at the least match it, or if possible, top it. Jacobus had bought a new young Billy and a few nannies to bring in new blood. It was a triumphant procession home. She never thought about it that Albert had never written her again from her agreement that they would probably have a fight over Tamra's name. At home she set up the spinning wheel, and Jacobus helped her build a makeshift loom. She and Marta started with getting the feel of it, at first experimenting with Marta's knitting wools, and then progressing to mohair. The end of the next week, Eleanor and Marta drove to town for the week's groceries and to collect the post. There were letters for her from her mother, Janice, Linda, and finally, Albert.